Hi everyone. Today I'm going to go over NFL trends that I've seen over the internet or that I've collected throughout the internet and that I've found just through my own observations and through my own trends. These trends, I believe, are both a representation of what people just think as well as incorporating some of my own sort of nuances and things that I think are relevant and sort of play out over time. So I'm going to go over these trends. These trends are broken down into like Super Bowl trends, regular season trends, as well as like just things to keep in mind when you're trying to come up with these trends or trying to find these trends on your own. So I'm gonna share these trends. And I guess another thing to keep in mind is that a lot of these trends, they're not perfect and they're not guaranteed to always hit. That's one of the things about trends that I'll mention sort of later on is that you want to have different trends and you want to think about all the different trends that could come up and you want to have a holistic understanding of the different trends for each team. And you sort of want to compare which trends and see which trends are actually the most impactful. Okay, so we'll get started with Super Bowl trends. First is NFL MVPs typically do not win the Super Bowl in the same year. Obviously, this is not the case this year with Patrick Mahomes winning and Kurt Warner in 2019 in 2000. However, this is typically the case. NFL MVPs typically do not win the Super Bowl in the same year. Logically and intuition wise, it does make some sort of sense. Just because if you are an MVP, you're typically known as carrying the team, you're the best player on the team, but that doesn't typically mean that you have the best team. And so that's a trend. There have been many times where the NFL MVP has even lost in the Super Bowl, but overall, over the span of 20 years, we've seen that it's pretty rare for the NFL MVP to actually win the Super Bowl in the same year. Back-to-back championships are also rare. Obviously, the Chiefs and the Patriots have been able to do so, but sort of similar to the first trend, like they are rare, not the norm. So, like we shouldn't be expecting the Chiefs to win a third year or like an NFC team to win 2 years in a row in like soon. Three, dominant defense typically wins against dominant offense. This is true. We've seen this in 2018 Patriots, Rams. We've seen this Broncos, Panthers. But typically, if you have a dominant defense and if you also have a dominant offense, a dominant defense will typically win. Not always. You have to take into account other different trends as well. But this is something that I've noticed. Teams that have lost in the playoffs the previous year by more than double digits fail to win the Super Bowl the next year. This is something I found on the internet as well, and I believe in this as well. The teams that have lost in the playoffs the previous year by more than double digits, so they've gotten blown out in the playoffs the previous year. They're not likely to win the Super Bowl the next year. Seen this through a lot of different examples, but that was just one trend. Wildcard teams that get to the Super Bowl typically win it. So if you're a wildcard team, if you're like sixth seed or something, and if you're good enough to even get to the Super Bowl as a wildcard team, then you're probably good enough to win it as well. So we've seen this with the 2010 Packers. We've seen this with the Buccaneers, the 2010 Packers, then the 2020 Buccaneers as well. And the last undefeated team in the regular season typically does not win the Super Bowl. So we've seen this with Eagles in 20. We've seen this Eagles last year or 2022 when they played the Chiefs in their Super Bowl, and we've seen this with the Niners from this year and the Niners from 2019. And also, there's a whole list that you can find online where the last undefeated team in the regular season typically does not win the Super Bowl, so they've gone like 5-0 or 7-0 in the regular season. There's the last undefeated team, and we see that they typically do not win the Super Bowl. There are, I think, a couple exceptions, but in general, that seems to be the trend. Second, the next one is that if two number one seeds are in the Super Bowl, the AFC team typically wins. So this is Chiefs, Eagles, and I think Broncos, Patriots, or Broncos, Panthers. Both were number one seeds, and the AFC won that matchup. If a team just has never won the Super Bowl, they will probably not win it in the current year. So Bills have never won Super Bowl, Bengals, these teams that have never won the Super Bowl, they're probably also not going to win it the current year that you're predicting games. Hard Knocks teams also don't win the Super Bowl. We know that. Something I found. There's also some trend regarding MVPs winning the Super Bowl in the next year. So 2018 Mahomes won MVP, and then 2019 he won the Super Bowl. So he won Super Bowl MVP. 2010 Rodgers won the Super Bowl, and then the following year he won MVP. 2017, 18, and even 2016, 17, Brady won the Super Bowl. Brady won MVP, NFL MVP, then he won the Super Bowl. So we've seen this sort of almost a trend of like quarterbacks winning the Super Bowl and then winning MVPs, or those two things happening very, you know, like in consecutive years. Other things to learn from these trends and find new trends. There will always be trends that and stats that support both sides, but the key is determining what trends are more impactful and which team has more trends in their direction. I'll go through like an example of this. But the Super Bowl is typically uh, like there's a lot of these trends that you can find in the Super Bowl and uh, that are like systematic and have happened like over the course of like 20, 30 years, and you can use those to predict the Super Bowl. And there, like I said, like the main thing is that there's going to be trends like that support both sides, but when you learn more about these trends and when you like dig deeper, you know that there are certain trends that are probably going to be more impactful than others. Let's go and move on to regular season trends. So these trends, these are not as typical as some of the ones that you'll see online in regards to like this system is like 7-2 when this situation occurs. These are a lot of this also incorporates like time, like when the game is actually played, which may not seem to be like a trend in and of itself, but just from what I've seen over the past couple of years, this does seem to be a trend. So first thing is if a team wins as a prime time underdog, or even Sunday like 3:05, like the 3:05 3 o'clock games, it's unlikely that they're going to win another prime time game as an underdog in that season. And there's not really like an explanation to this. This is something that I've just seen, and it's typically like if the team is good enough to like win as an underdog in a primetime game, like they've probably like used up all of their like I guess power or strength or energy. Just energetically. This is a trend that I've seen is that if a team wins as a primetime underdog, it's unlikely that they're also going to win a primetime game as an underdog in that season. And then consecutive primetime Sunday Night Football or Thursday Night Football upsets are rare. Now, this past year, we've seen a ton of consecutive Monday Night Football upsets. I think like 8 weeks in a row, there were like Monday Night Football upsets. But typically, Sunday Night Football or Thursday Night Football upsets are pretty rare, just from what I've noticed. So if there's an upset, Sunday Night Football, you can probably more likely than not, like even you have a high likelihood of a favorite winning the following week. Largest favorite of the week will typically win. I think this past year, the largest favorite did win every single week. 60% of the favorites win, obviously. And then London games, consecutive week upsets are also rare. So if a team wins as an upset in 1 week, the following week you can expect, and if it's a London game the following week, you can expect the favorite to win. If a team this is a trend that's actually like based in some sort of like situation, team wise, if a team fails to cover the spread in the previous game by 26 or more points and they're coming back as a favorite, they have covered 83.7% of the time in the last 20 years. So I guess just situationally, like if you're a team and you've lost by like 20, 30 points and you're coming back in these bounce back games, in these bounce back environments as a favorite, you're probably going to end up winning 83.7% of the time. The next system that's also 80+% is road favorites and non-divisional matchups, where the road favorite has an average 7.5 yards per attempt, and they have also struggled on defense, so they're good on offense, average 7.5 yards per attempt, the quarterback, and they've also given up seven or more yards per attempt in 3 consecutive games. That system is 83.7% straight up. Now, I guess the main part of that, it has to be a road favorite in a non-divisional matchup, and just overall, like, you don't have to. The more you follow these trends, obviously, the better. But even if it's like a road favorite non-divisional matchup and they haven't averaged 7.5 yards per attempt, but they're really good on offense, you can still sort of count that as this system or trend. The other one, predicting a game is best if you have multiple trends and systems that support your pick. You're going to be more confident, and it's more likely to occur if you have multiple different systems that align with this one pick that you're going to play, instead of if you're only basing this off of one trend. And you also want to keep a list of trends that support each team. Like, I'll go through an example of, okay, these are the trends that support, let's say, the Chiefs. These are the trends that support the Niners. You want to create a list of those. You want to create, okay, what trends, like how many, just compare the quantity of them and also compare what the impact of these trends. Have I seen this happen before? So you really want to do that type of analysis. Keep on finding trends using previous matchups, similar situations, patterns of play styles. Things occur again and again, similar situations, similar patterns of play. Coaches, they're not going to drastically change over the course of their careers. So there are going to be similar situations, similar matchups, and just even in the NFL, there's a ton of parity, a ton of situations also that come up again and again that we could pick up on and that could help us predict games as well. Quarterback and coach trends are also real. So obviously you can find many different trends regarding what I found is quarterback trends and coach trends are like the most important ones that really stay the course. So Patrick Mahomes as an underdog in the playoffs, I think it's like 7-2. That's a pretty good trend. Other trend that's weird, but that not a lot of people see, is Patrick Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers do not lose in the same week of football. And this might be like an energy thing, or like just their styles of plays are different. And I think it has only happened once, and that was during a London game where both Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes, they haven't lost in the same week of football. So if Patrick Mahomes plays on Thursday and he loses, pretty likely that Aaron Rodgers will also win that week. Maybe it's an energy thing. Maybe it's styles of play in the NFL, whatever it is. But this is a trend that I've noticed and might be statistically significant. Lamar Jackson against NFC teams. This is like a common trend. But I mean, just this year, I think against the Lions and a couple other, the Rams, maybe a couple other NFC teams. Lamar Jackson, I think, has this incredible winning percentage against NFC teams. This may be just because like he's just naturally better at like the way NFC teams operate and play, and NFC teams may not have seen like a Lamar Jackson the way that he plays. Tom Brady against and this is also just to show that quarterback trends are real. Quarterback trends, they are relevant through like an extended period of time. Tom Brady against NFL MVPs in the playoffs. I think he has like an undefeated record against NFL MVP. So Aaron Rodgers in 2020, Patrick Mahomes in 2018. Bill Belichick against rookie quarterbacks, I also think has a very good record there as well. Kyle Shanahan in the playoffs. We know that he's had 10-point leads in both Super Bowls, also a 10-point lead in the NFC Championship game. So that's again trends. And the reason like the trends are the way that they are is because a person's careers is not going to change dramatically. And so if they have done something in the past and repeatedly, it's a high likelihood that it's also going to happen in the future. You wouldn't be shocked to see that. Patrick Mahomes against number one seeds in the Super Bowl. So number one seeds, 49ers twice, Eagles twice in the Super Bowl. The Chiefs against number one seeds in the Super Bowl. Aaron Rodgers versus 49ers in the playoffs just has not won. Again, could be an energy thing, could be like a career thing, could be just the way that the Niners operate and play, and the identity of the player, how they view things. Again, all of that can take into play and could be reasons in these trends. Again, these are just trends, observations, and patterns that I've seen, and the people I've seen is they could just be they could not be statistically significant. They could just be you know mere correlations and not actually causations or anything like that. But these are just trends, and trends tend to over time you can use these trends because things tend to repeat again and again over time. And then even in this, hindsight bias is like really apparent here. You may think after you predict a game, you could go like, oh, I should have picked this, or this trend really I should have believed in. So you just have to be aware that after the fact, after the game, after the result has been done and you're able to see it, it's going to be very easy to say, okay, I should have done that, or I should have done that. So just having an awareness of that is essential. Now I'm just going to go over like what I mean by when I say breaking down games into the trend. So like if I say like Chiefs versus 49ers, right? I say Chiefs versus 49ers in this previous Super Bowl. Okay, so 49ers. So the 49ers were the last undefeated team in the regular season. The last undefeated team in the regular season. And from our trends, we know that the last undefeated team in the regular season, they do not win the Super Bowl. We've also seen, again, this matchup before. So here, like on the Chiefs side, it will be reasons and trends that support the Chiefs. So the 49ers were the last undefeated team in the regular season. Something that supports the Niners is that the Chiefs, like it's very rare for a team to win back-to-back championships. Very, very rare for a team to win back-to-back championships. 49ers are also, they have not won a Super Bowl in I think 20 years or something, or Kyle Shanahan is 49ers, I think 0-2 in Super Bowls. 49ers, I guess this supports the Chiefs. 49ers also, they lost the previous year playoffs, lost in previous playoffs by more than 10 points. This was another trend. And then I guess Chiefs straight back-to-back champions. The only trend that's really supporting the Chiefs, and then I guess Chiefs also won against the Niners previously before, and when they were also the number 1 seed. So here, just when we're coming up with these trends, we already see that there's only one trend that's supporting the Niners here, and that's the Chiefs. It's very rare for a team to go back-to-back to win back-to-back championships. So we see that there are more trends here. We see that there are also higher impact trends here. We've also seen the Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes, win the MVP and the Super Bowl in the same year, the previous year. So that sort of lessens the impact of this back-to-back championship trend. So just because of this, I mean, it's pretty reasonable to expect to see that the Chiefs have won. Now let's move on to a future game, the Chiefs versus Ravens, which is going to be this year's opener. So if we look at the Chiefs, if we just take a look at, okay, what are the trends that are supporting the Chiefs? Just one, the Chiefs are favorites, and then again, 60% of times the favorites are going to win. So again, 60%. The Chiefs also lost last year's opener, last year's Thursday night football, right? Opener. So it's again rare for a Super Bowl champion to lose two consecutive openers. Chiefs, just in general over the years, the team that wins the Super Bowl team that wins Super Bowl typically also wins the opener the following year. I don't know the percentage, but that's I think over 50% or 60% or something like that. And then Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes against the Ravens specifically. I think they're like 5-2 or 4-2 or 7-2 or okay. Okay, we're back here. Okay, so yeah, the team that wins the Super Bowl typically also wins the opener. And then what was another trend? Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs against the Ravens in previous matchups have also won like a lot. I think 7-2 or 5-2 or some record like that. So they have won against the Chiefs or won against the Ravens quite a number of times. It's a good matchup for them in past. Really, like on for the Ravens, there's not many trends I can think of here in terms of what trends the Ravens would have. So everything here points to the Chiefs winning this opener. So again, whenever you're selecting games, you want to really drill down into these trends, analyze the trends on both sides, and then see which trends have the greater impact, what has happened in the past, and use that to make an optimal decision. So those are just some NFL trends and some things I thought about and have collected about picking NFL games and some trends I've noticed over the past couple of years. Yeah, thank you.